Hey writers, we've been using the nonfiction reading strategy of having an inner conversation to think through the text and the questions over the past couple of days. Today I want to remind you that you can use inner conversations to read through text and read through the questions. So watch me while I show you how to have an inner conversation about the next question from excerpt from Stunt Performers. According to the article, why is the subheading Risks and Dangers Significant? Let me have an inner conversation. Well, the first thing that I think to do is to think about the word significant. What does that mean? Significant. If something is of significance, it means it's very important. So I'm going to just jot a note. Important. Sorry for the sloppy handwriting, writing on the computer here. So next what I do, I've kind of talked a little bit about significant. I've thought about significant events in history, significant events in my life, things that are important. So next I want to find that subheading in the text and I want to read it. So I can switch over to risks and dangers from the text. So if you're following along, this is on the last page of your article. So risks and dangers. Stunt performers of all types know that their jobs are risky. They don't let the risks stop them. Their skills and training usually keep them safe. Some of the risks for stunt performers are, the first thing I want to do now, like this topic sentence here, it says they know their jobs are risky. So why is this heading significant so far? It's because I think this section might tell us some of those risks that are involved. So let's take a look. Falls. I'm going to number this as number 1. Stunt performers are used to falls and know how to land safely, but a fall from a high wire or trapeze can be deadly. I'm going to underline that because that's definitely a danger. That's a risk. 2, sports injuries. Stunt performers are hard on their bodies. They often suffer exactly the same sprains and knee damage that sports stars do too. So I'm going to underline sprains, knee damage, because those are some risks that can take place. 3, movie fires and explosions are spectacular, but if something goes wrong, stunt actors can be badly hurt. Here are some more risks. 4, accidents. A slight miscalculation or a piece of damaged equipment can cause a bad accident. That's why performers practice their stunts and check their equipment closely. 5, bad weather. Wind and rain on a movie set can create unexpected hazards for stunt actors. So I'm going to write hazards. So I was thinking out loud as I was reading through that, and I was kind of annotating some things that I want to remember. So why is the subheading risks and dangers significant? Well, first of all, I know right away my topic sentence was that these jobs are risky. They're risky because they can be deadly. You can suffer injuries like sprains and knee damage. You can be badly hurt. There could be a bad accident. And there are elements that create outside hazards. So what I'm going to have to do is follow my features of a 2-point response. I need to state a claim. A few of us forgot what that word is yesterday. The features of a 2-point response are state a claim and then 2 pieces of evidence. Now, if you remember, those 2 pieces of evidence, they come from 2 places. 1 comes from the text, and 1 could be an inference. It's your thinking, how you're putting those pieces together. So that's what I'm going to work to do in my 2-point response here. So here's my question, according to the article excerpt from Stunt Performers. Why is the subheading Risks and Dangers significant? Use 2 details from the article to support your response. Now remember, I want to take the question stem and I want to reword it. So that's my first thing before I even get details or a claim. So the subheading Risks and Dangers is significant because, so that didn't even take much work yet. All I did was rephrase that question. What I want to do is go back to this piece that I underlined here. This is significant because this entire section talks about the risks and the dangers involved with this job. So let's go back to my 2-point response. This section is all about the dangers and things that could go wrong. I don't want to just keep repeating risks and dangers because that won't show I know anything, right? And things that can go wrong for a stunt performer. Now, if you remember, when I was looking at my checklist, I had noticed that I don't really use transitions, so I'm going to use one right now. So, for example, because I know I have a detail that needs to come up. My first one, I want from the text. So, for example, I'm going to say falls. If a stunt performer, depending on the trick, if a stunt performer falls, it could be deadly. So now I'm going to use another transition, and I'm going to ease myself into kind of my thinking, my inference. So I'm going to use the sentence stem. This makes me think that to be a stunt performer, you should educate yourself on these risks and dangers. And I'm going to refer back to the text. I'm going to say these risks and dangers included in this section. Okay, so I wrote a 2-point response. So what I need to do is refer back to my 2-point response checklist. I used my nonfiction reading skills and had an inner conversation about the text in question. I do think I did that. The whole time I was talking, I was thinking through, I analyzed significant. I was, in this next one, I was, in fact, putting notes in the text, in the margins, to show my thinking. I used my text strategy of reading around and through the part of the text connected to the question. Yes, I found that heading. I went back and I reread it. In my response, I made a claim using some of the words in the question and combined it with my thinking. Yes, I did. I used 2 pieces of evidence from the article to support my claim. Yes, so I used 2 evidence, and one of them was a fact. One of them was an inference or a conclusion that I made. That's where I said you should educate yourself. And this time I finally used transition words. I used 2. And I wrote incomplete sentences. So I'm feeling really good about this 2-point response that I just made here. So using this checklist really helped me be confident in the response that I just wrote. So remember, writers, when you are writing a 2-point response, you can use this strategy of having an inner conversation as well. Talk yourself through, talk in your head, argue with yourself, prove to yourself that what evidence you're finding is accurate, and talk about the places in the text you're going back to. You can also use a checklist to monitor your writing. Going through this checklist just made me feel pretty pumped because I know that I nailed this 2-point response. So today you are going to have 2 2-point responses from your same reading passage. One's going to be similar to my demonstration question today, and one of them is going to be kind of a review question with some skills that we went over already. Make sure you're only answering your session 7 questions. Also make sure if you have makeup work to do, that needs to be done as well. So you should not only be keeping up with our new lessons, but you need to be looking back to make sure that you've done everything before this as well. Happy writing!